What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegito. And so here we have Vegito Blue posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Vegito Blue does come with 4 different faceplates. We do get the smirking expression which he has on him right now. We do get an expression where he's gritting his teeth. We get an expression where he's screaming. And then finally we get an expression where he's looking off to the side and screaming. He also comes with several sets of hands. We get a pair of fists. We get a pair of ki blasting hands. We get a pair of clenching energy hands. We do get a right hand that has a peg port in it for the final Kamehameha. We do get a left hand for taunting. We do get a right hand for the spirit sword. We get a left hand that has a wide grip on it for gripping Zamasu. And then we also do have his instant transmission hand. We of course do get the spirit sword, which is a really heavy accessory. You do need a stand to help support the weight. It does look really nice. Then we also get a clip that attaches to the back of Zamasu, so you can make it appear that the spirit sword did go right through him. And then finally we do have the final Kamehameha, which looks really nice. I do like the amount of accessories that came with this figure. I do have to point out a few things, but we'll talk about that in detail. So with all his accessories out of the way, let's actually move on to his details. And so here we have a closer look at Vegito Blue. Now I do have to say that Tamashii Nations has done a fantastic job with this figure. Kudos to Bandai for giving us such a really nice looking figure, but I do have to go over some issues that I do have with the figure. They're not huge issues, but they are something to be aware of. Let's actually talk about the details before we move on to some of those issues. The face. The face is probably one of my favorite things about this figure. It exudes, whatever the proper word is, but you can tell this is Vegito. It has that really cocky attitude that Vegito has, and it looks really nice. It transitions very well. This is probably one of the best Dragon Ball faces that Bandai has made for an SH Figuarts figure, and as you can see, it looks a lot like Vegito no matter what angle you have him at. Let's just put his face on properly just so we can have a look at the hair. The hair is also done really nice. It's not the same color as the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, Goku, and Gogeta that we got. It's a really nice sheen. I really do like it. It has kind of like this metallic feel to it, especially when light hits it at particular angles, which I do appreciate that. And I even like how nice the Patara earrings look on him. They are this really nice shade of gold and silver, so that is done exceptionally well, and it's the same way on all his heads. Speaking about the heads, let's actually talk about one of my first issues with this figure, his neck. His neck is incredibly long. Now, I don't know where Bandai went wrong, either in the production phase or when they were making this figure, but they made his neck extremely long. Now, it's not that the neck is long, it's the exact same length as the Goku molds that we've seen. What it is that the peg port on the head sits really high, so we have this really long neck with Vegito, and that doesn't really look right, especially in a neutral position. Like, my camera's angled, so you really can't tell it's an issue, but if I strain him out, you can see how much neck he has right there, and that is a big deal, especially for neutral poses. You're really going to notice that, especially when you just have him standing around. When you pose him around, it's not that big a deal, but neutral position, yeah, that is a really long neck. One issue that creates is with the face plates. Now, if you try to move his head down, you can see it pops his head off the peg ports. Now, that's not always a bad thing, but this instance, it is a bad thing because now you can't have him looking down without popping his face off, and that's a big deal. And it's an even bigger deal when you realize you only get one set of the hair right here. 3 other faces require you to swap out this hairpiece for all the heads, and that's really annoying. It's the smirking head, the gritting teeth, and eyes looking forward, yelling head. That's kind of annoying that we don't get this molded on with the rest of the figure. I don't know why they didn't do it. They did it with all the other Vegetos and Gogetas. Why is his different. I don't understand that. But yeah, his neck is too long, the head sits too high, and this annoys me. The hair isn't a big deal. That's something I can overlook and work around. But the head just doesn't really work, and I don't know, it gets annoying when you try to pose him around and you keep popping the face off. And that is an issue that is common just because of how high his neck sits, or his head sits on his neck. That's something that they really should have worked around. So for the most part, this is a body we've seen before. It is a retweak of the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku, or the, what was it, Super Saiyan Blue Goku that we got last year. Really do like it. It does fit the character, but I think that they could have done a few more coats of the orange, because it does feel a little light in some areas, especially right there. If we turn the figure around, it's a little bit light right here, especially at the edges. Yeah, I don't know how they could have alleviated that. Maybe make a brighter orange just so that it looks a little nicer. Because there are some parts where the blue looks like it's fading through, and that's always a bad thing. But as I said, for the most part, this is a Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku body, which I have no problems with. It's a really good Goku body. It's just the way they painted it. It kind of bothers me that they didn't use a more saturated orange. But yeah, looking at the arms, is the Goku arms with the exception of the glove cuffs. This is a completely new piece. It's not the Vegeta arm. It's actually completely new for Vegito here. Belt is a really nice shade of light blue, so that works for Vegito. Then we get the Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku legs going all the way down to this part right here where his knee is. And then we do get a new calf going down, because that is a new boot sculpt, and that's not the same as Goku. They actually did add a little bit of a wash to it. Appears this leg. This leg doesn't seem to have that same wash going through it, so you can see it's darker over here, and there's not as dark over here. There are some natural lighting that does create that shadow, but you can tell right here on the knee we got some shading. On this knee we didn't, and then we have shading on this side, and we don't have as much shading on this side. So shading is all over the place with Vegito, and then of course we get nothing on the back. Going down to his boots, where he does have the Vegeta boots, which I'm perfectly okay with. These look really nice, really do like the tooling on it, and they function as Goku feet, so they don't have the outrageous angles that Vegeta gets, but do be aware that they function just like Goku feet, not Vegeta feet. So if you were going to have his feet in weird, crazy angles, it's not going to work as nice. So overall, I do like the way he came out. There are just some issues I gotta air my grievances with, especially this neck and how high his head sits. That looks really odd, and promotional images had his head sitting a little bit lower, so I don't know where it went wrong. It had to have been during the production phase that they sat his head too high. It is a little bit of a shame, but it's something we can work around with posing. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Vegito Blue compared to other figures you may have in your collection. Here we have Vegito Blue posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Vegito Blue posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Vegito Blue posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we have Vegito Blue posed next to Fused Zamasu and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Gogeta. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to Vegito's articulation. Now, he does have the same ball hinge that we've seen with all the other Dragon Ball figures, so he can look up to about that far. And of course, he would be able to look down, but if you try having him look down, you pop the face right off, and that does get really annoying. We do have some slight head tilt, so that does work, but for the most part it is a hinged ball joint right there. Let's actually get his face back on and try not moving the head. We do have a ball joint here at the neck, which never really works, so I don't even know why they bother. We do have a butterfly joint, which does bring the arm out to about that far, so he can cross his arm about that much with the articulation. We get some pretty decent movement there. Doesn't go all the way back, but it is a ball socket, so we can pivot the arm down, can pivot the arm up, can move it back and forth slightly. Then we do have a hinge, which only goes out to about there, which is a little bit unfortunate. Does go all the way around, works no problem. We do have a bicep swivel, which works fine. Double bend in the elbow, going past 90 degrees, so I do like that. We have a ball hinge here at the wrist, which does have in and out movement. We can rotate that joint to give us up and down movement, and of course rotation on that peg. I believe we have a hinged ball joint here at the upper torso because it does pivot side to side, does lean back, doesn't lean that far forward, but if you do extend it, which we've seen on all the other Goku figures, you can crunch him forward a little bit. Most of it is going to come from the ball joint right here in his waist, where the bulk of the rotation does come from. We do have some side to side. When you lift up the torso, it does give us better side to side movement, so there is that. But yeah, rotation right there, some forward and back movement right there. Legs do kick forward to about there, kick back all the way, go out to the side pretty decently. We have thigh swivel, which works fine. Double bend in the knee going past 90 degrees. No boot rotation, but we do have rotation here at the foot, as well as no backwards movement, surprisingly. Let's see. Yeah, we should have backwards movement, and I just popped his foot off. That's why it was pretty stiff, and I moved that ball joint. But yeah, it's a double ball joint here in the foot, but it does go back, as you can see. Goes forward, tilts to the side. We get some rocker ankle on the inside. Then we also do have a toe hinge, which that's about as far as it goes. I'm not going to risk breaking it. So that's pretty good articulation. Could be better in some parts, could be worse. So overall, it's acceptable for a Dragon Ball figure. So with that out of the way, let's get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have Vegito Blue posed for my final thoughts, and I can only imagine this is a pose most collectors are going to have him in because it looks really awesome with this final Kamehameha effect. So Vegito Blue is a really interesting figure. I do like aspects of it, and then there's aspects of it which I do not like, especially that really long neck. How high his head sits on that ball joint is a little bit offsetting. But again, you can fix that with some good posing. Now, it's not 100% foolproof. You will still get that really long neck. But if you pose him around just right, you really don't notice it. And that's something I really do like about this figure. Posing him is actually quite fun. And I think my favorite two accessories to pose him with are the final Kamehameha and the Spirit Sword. Now, one issue I do have with the Spirit Sword is that it is really, really heavy for the figure, and unless you have a figure stand, you really can't have them with that Spirit Sword for too long because it will wear down that joint, which is unfortunate. If you have Tamashii Nation stands or just any stand in general, it will help support the weight, and that's one thing you really do need. I love the fact that they give you an attachment for Zamasu, so you can make it look like the Spirit Sword impaled him. That's a really nice little detail to an accessory to a detail from a scene I really did enjoy. So overall, Vegito Blue here is a must-have for any Dragon Ball Z fan or Dragon Ball Super fan. Now, unfortunately, Vegito Blue here was a Bandai exclusive figure, which means you can only get him from the premium Bandai website. Now, other retailers are picking him up, but you are going to end up paying just a little more for this figure. I've already seen other sites charge about $80 for this figure. If you got him directly from premium Bandai, you only paid $60, so there's more than a $20 markup for this figure from other sites like Big Bad Toy Store or Entertainment Earth. Now, if you do get them secondhand not from a reputable website, you are looking to pay at least $100 for this figure, which I do see him as a good figure. I just don't see $100 in this figure. I think $60 was the perfect price for Vegito Blue here. I do recommend you pick up Vegito Blue for any Vegito fans, Dragon Ball fans, or if you just want a really cool fusion character on your shelf, Vegito Blue here will do a really nice job. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Dragon Ball and SH Figuarts videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.